Umoja, purportedly national convention, because I didn't understand how it was a national convention, because I don't know how that was arrived at. But I think, you know, I didn't see anything new other than what everybody knew, that all along, notwithstanding the fact that he had not made the announcement, everybody expected the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga to announce that he will be a candidate in the forthcoming general elections as a presidential candidate. And therefore, really, I didn't see anything. There's nothing new, because you know, those videotapes, we had watched some of those you know, happenings in the various regions as he visited.
There was speculation that maybe he would endorse an Oka principle.
Well, that again was an anticlimax, because all the Oka principles, unfortunately, had not been contacted in good time, and therefore were not able to attend. But of course, it is also important to appreciate, even though the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga indicated that that was is going to look for coalition and like-minded people.
Yes.
Of course, one has to ask themselves, but you've just come out of another coalition, the NASA arrangement, and one would have expected that that which brought them together was like minds. So if people with whom you've been together for such a long time, as people of like minds, have now walked away out of you, well, you know, the issue of like minds, to me, doesn't quite end up. It means that you'll be looking not for like-minded in terms of any policies or programs that they have been working jointly together. But maybe what he means is he will be looking out for partners to help him clinch the presidency, not the people of like minds. Because I don't want, you know, to be fair, I think it would be wrong for me to argue, to accept that he'll be looking for like minds. He will only be looking for people to help him beef numbers, and that's why you know, perhaps you saw. I saw. If for instance, if like minds means commander and others, because these are people he has not worked with before, then maybe it's not about like minds. It's just about people who can help him beef numbers. But in the meantime, it's also good to appreciate that a day in politics is a long time, and therefore I do not, you know, belittle the fact that the Right Honorable Raila is a serious political animal in this country, and he can be able to do a number of things if he notices that there is a risk in what he's doing. He's always, you know, he's a guy who has been shown to be capable of turning and twisting at the same time. And well, I have been around long enough to know and to witness some of those turns and twists that he has practiced in the past. As to whether if he approached me,
Yes.
we would work together. Let me say this. I hold a view different from many leaders of political parties, in that I don't believe in leaders. The person who is given the ticket by a party should not be the one calling shots. it should be the party. The party. And therefore, any negotiations must be between parties. In fact, you can even leave out the presidential contenders, so that parties are able to come together and agree on this is our program, what is yours, first of all, because that is important, because these are the things that I've seen in the past. It's just a matter of the top candidates sitting together in some room, agreeing on some, arrangement that when we form government, we'll do this, we'll do this. Those things are not structured. And I think that is what has made our political parties not, be strong enough, because they have, rather than the political parties as institutions of governance, meeting together, agreeing. In fact, what Raila now calls like mind, that can only be built when institutions, as institutions, first of all, are the ones that agree, so that they come up with what they are able to agree. These are common ground. These are the areas over which we have differences, so that it is not me, the presidential candidate, who's driving this, because I would want a situation whereby I am in a situation after the elections when I am implementing something that the parties agreed on. Because this thing about individuals, as it has run to a lot of what we have been, in quote unquote, called betrayal. But when there are institutions, parties agreeing, so that the parties are the ones who should bring the leaders together. But now here in Kenya, we have seen a situation whereby it is the leaders who go into some arrangement, then the candidate is the one who comes to announce, now we have agreed we are going to do this and this. That should not be the case. I want to encourage a situation in this country where, since the constitution we have today recognizes political parties as institutions of public governance, that's why they are provided for specifically. Articles 91 and 92 in the constitution. And then when you read Article 108, it recognizes coalitions. So that when we are having coalitions, these coalitions must be coalitions of parties, not individuals. That is the point I'm trying to make. And that, therefore, it can only be, I can only comment that if my party is approached, I would encourage my party to go and negotiate. And it is a reality today that coalitions are going to be the in thing going forward. And I find it, quite dishonest when people talk about big political parties, national parties, as opposed to regional, or they call them ethnic-based parties. It is an truism that every party will have some serious, solid following from particular region or counties or things like those. But that should not be a weakness. The Constitution recognizes the diversity of our country. In fact, the Constitution encourages us to have unity in diversity, because when you unite in that diversity, you create a much stronger country. And even if it's a government, you form a very strong government that recognizes that yes, there are certain circumstances that obtain in a particular region which do not necessarily obtain in another, and don't necessarily obtain in yet another one, but bring them together is what creates the strength that this country needs. To allow parties to be able to discuss, talk to one another, and see where they have a common ground. If you have certain things that you agree on, then that should be a reason why you should be able to work together without difficulties. After all, my assumption is that everybody or every party that offers itself to contest has a desire, if it forms government, either by itself or in conjunction with others, to serve the best interests of the citizens of this country. That is my vision of what should happen. Let me not do any comparisons about UDA or ODM and my party, Democratic Party, because you may notice most political parties are not that much different. All of them offer to give service, the best service to the country in terms of agriculture, in terms of job creation, in terms of industrialization. All of them address the issue of primary health care delivery systems, improving those things. The only area where I have myself taken exception is a lack of commitment in a serious way to fight the elephant in the room, which is runaway corruption. And I think this is something that I intend to be foremost in my agenda. That because we have seen people, some of these people, all of us who are offering to lead this country, we have been there. What are we seeing? Look at some of these people who are even in Azimio yesterday. Some of them are governors who are facing corruption cases in the courts. Yeah? So you're telling me you want us to coalesce? I want to make a fight against corruption topmost in my agenda. So, I'll find it very difficult to sit with a political party that is even led by people who are having corruption cases in the courts or active investigations on, plunder of public resources, misuse of government. They're not government here. It's not government. It's public resources. So, that's what I'm saying. Even as we engage, we really must ask ourselves hard questions. How do you propose to tackle the issue of corruption? And we go to specific areas. We've seen the rot in very many ministries. I have argued that what the government has done today in terms of infrastructure is a good thing, but at what cost? Could it have been done much more cheaply? Yeah? It's a good thing that we've invested heavily in infrastructural development. Yeah, there's the SGR, the mini tarmac roads and things like those. But my question is the cost, is it the right one? We need to ask ourselves. I have argued on time without number that if we are following the Constitution, health is devolved, agriculture is devolved. It means, therefore, the bulk of the budget in those ministries should be in the counties. Everybody is talking about helping the common man, the mamamboga there, the MSME. But what is the system we are using? We have devolution, which is dictated in the Constitution. If indeed we are serious about helping those small and micro enterprises, we must therefore allow to devolve more resources to the country. It cannot be a function of the national government. Some of these things are devolved. We want to see our counties competing against one another. You have this, you have mangoes, like the Honorable Professor Kibwana has done in Makueni. Another county has got certain other crops. You do a lot of dairy farming. We should be seeing ghee factories, butter factories in those counties. And that can only happen if we devolve sufficient resources, remove them from the headquarters, give them to the counties. Then the counties, and you make sure that the Office of the Controller of Budget is strengthened so that any withdrawals on funds which are meant to address certain functions are ring-fenced, and that the control budget will only allow withdrawals from the county reserve funds upon a concrete proposals. And they know in the counties, they know our people in this area, they like doing this kind of business. Listen to the proposals they have. Do a mechanism that allows them to come, get resources, go and do their things. At the local level there, you'll be able to monitor. You will not be able to monitor from the national government. Even if you want to do, I don't want to say what some people are saying, that because the national government is not down there. Today, the national government at the local level is only represented by an assistant chief, a chief, assistant county commissioner, the former DOs and DCs. Because the rest of the officers there, who used to be there, remember in the old days, under the former constitution, you'd have an agricultural officer who is an employee of the national government. You'd have a veterinary officer, you'd have a roads engineer. But today, some of these things are devolved. So even as we come up with models up here, we must also link those ideas with the fact that we are living in a new dispensation where devolution actually is the anchor of our national development. Because if we invest sufficiently in the devolved units, I can assure you, in about 5 years' time, this country will be flourishing. The issue of jobs for our young people are, they are very imaginative, innovative. But you can't tell them to always come to Nairobi. If there are sufficient funds, because then we have a Senate which will be going around to see why are people, why you can't be keeping funds here, and there are people, young people, who want to do biashara. They come up with ideas, This is my vision. For some time, I have a huge network of friends and well-wishers who are willing to, to bet on me, and have been quite supportive so far, and I believe they will continue to support me. It is not a matter of an individual, one individual, because after all, the job that I'm looking for is a job of service to the Kenyan people. And people who know me, who know what I stand for, who can look down my history, look at my record, have faith in me, and they are helping me along this journey. And therefore, the Democratic Party is aware. It's going to really also get its space in the national limelight.
Used to enjoy.
Fortunately, none of those fellows, the constellation of the old men that I saw in Safari Park, none of them has been involved in my planning, and I never had them anywhere. And because you see, I also have other friends, not necessarily Mount Kenya Foundation, and without casting aspersions, I wish the investigation report on KEMSA scandal was made public. Then you would see some of those people beginning to disappear. Yeah. So I'm not going to, and that's why I'm saying I'm not going to go to people who will come to me because they have criminal investigations by following them, and then they pretend to be supporting me. I'm not saying that all of them are, but I know some who have issues, and I saw them playing very, very prominent role in those Mount Kenya luncheons, and I've met some of them. You know, so I know some who are also struggling to remain afloat. And you know, sometimes it is. I saw some report that the Mount Kenya Foundation has been supporting President Uhuru. You know, it's a fallacy. It is, you know, it's such a little contribution, because when people believe in something, they don't need financial persuasion, you know. And I want to say, for instance, when it came to the election of President Kibaki in 2002, there was very little about in fact, Mount Kenya Foundation was non-existent. Yeah, it was non-existent. So even to argue that it was instrumental in the election of President Kibaki is not true. President Kibaki was popular in his own right. It is not even the Tosha that that gave Kibaki the presidency. No. Kibaki was popular in his own right. And if you remember that, you know, previously he had come second.
Yes.
And all that was happening now was those people who had been in the opposition, who had been opposing him, who had, remember, by the time we were coming to the Tosha thing, President Kibaki was already working with, in the same group, was already working with Charity Ngilu, who had run in 1997. He was already working very, very closely with the late Vice President Kijana Wamalwa, yes, who had come fourth in the 97 elections. So you can imagine now, Charity Ngilu came fifth. But number two, which was a significant number two, President Kibaki, and number 4 and 5 were already together. Those three already would have had more votes than the ones President Moi had in 97. So the addition of the ones that were brought by the person who came number 3 was just ile inaitwa kwa Kiswahili bakshishi. Ilikuwa bakshishi. Eh? And therefore there was nothing about Mount Kenya Foundation there.
So it does not matter. It
doesn't really matter, and you know, they are not people. These are business people. They are boardroom operators. You would never see them out there going to to soil their hands with trying to convince or persuade people to vote in a particular way. No. It's just a perception that has been created, and then they have they have actually assumed that they control the masses. They don't. I can tell you this for free.
Not even Mount Kenya itself.
No, not Mount Kenya. I mean, I can call a meeting anywhere within Mount Kenya, and I ask any of them to come and speak there. They have no, you know, nobody will care what they say, what they do, because they are busy doing their biashara. Yes, as we are in the business of doing siasa, those two are not the same. If I'm a project, I can only be a project of the Democratic Party, nothing else. I can only be taken to be a project of the Democratic Party, which has agreed to sponsor me. And I have said I do not want to. I want to do a break with what has been happening in this country. I want to introduce a new style of leadership with political parties. You see the way it is in the US, the Democratic Party exists whether the president is there or not. And that is what I would want us. That is what is intended by our Constitution, recognizing political parties. So that I am only a candidate. I am not the party. I subscribe to the ideals and values espoused by the party. And therefore I should allow the party to continue propagating its ideals and the principles, which I agree with, whether I am president or not. And that's what we in this country, that's what we lack. We want to own parties so that if we die, the party dies.
You're not there.
If I'm not there, the party, that is wrong. I want a situation whereby now we begin differentiating between the candidate and the party, the presidency and the party. So that when you are president, yeah, when you are president, the party can continue running. You are implementing the party policies. So that if the party finds that you are not, it can actually call you and tell you now, we think that you are not following, you are not implementing what we agreed, what we agreed on. Yeah?
We can fire you.
And we can fire you. I want to see a situation whereby we strengthen and grow our political parties to have such a stature. Azimio did not invite me. Of course, we are on recess, but the organizers are, they have all my contacts. They could I don't know how the people are being invited, by the way. I have no idea, but certainly I was not invited, and but I don't complain. I'm not complaining about not being invited, because it's a prerogative of the organizers. They knew who to invite and who not to invite, and I happen to have been in the category of who not to be invited, and that is their right. I don't complain. Yes, corruption is not a corporate thing. The corrupt are corrupt as individuals. They are corrupt as business people. They are corrupt as other public civil servants. They are corrupt. If you are a member of parliament and you are corrupt yourself, not the institution where you work from. And therefore, corruption amongst members cannot be said to be corruption of parliament. It would be wrong to lump the house. And I keep, I'm sure many people will will remember, I have always, urged and pleaded with the members that when you do something, when you behave in a particular way, remember it also reflects on the institution where you belong to. And therefore, it is maybe true that when this member is misbehaving this way, the other one has done something other, unbecoming things. Sometimes because they are known as members of parliament, it translates into a reflection of the institution. Like you remember, there was a time when the church was very, very focal on matters of governance. Yes. And it was, the institution, even when you indict members of the judiciary, they are individuals. Don't condemn the entire institution of judiciary. Even if it's the police, you don't condemn the entire organization. There are individuals there who are not straightforward and who have done bad things here and there. And therefore, for me, I don't think whether Parliament as such, and the National Assembly in particular, can be said to be the one that has been corrupt. It may well be that some individuals, and I believe those who have material, they have taken them to court, because ultimately that's where the decision should be made. It's not me. Those are the people. The members of parliament who are in the house are not are not elected there by me. They are not my appointees. They are elected by the people. So it is the people who should ask themselves, what caliber of people are we electing? If we elect corrupt people, then expect corruption to thrive where you are sending them. Because garbage in, garbage out. Allow every candidate the opportunity to campaign in every corner of the republic. the views of David Murathe about Raila are really very, very personal. Because I don't remember any time that David Murathe went on a public podium to campaign against Raila. So even the things he said yesterday, they shocked me because I've never seen him on a public podium. The last time that he campaigned when he was defending his seat was in 2002. And the candidate who was then running was Kibaki. So what could he have been saying about Raila? So I don't, but you know, David Murathe, like any other Kenyan, is entitled to his opinion. You know, he has political rights and the rights of expression and the right to hold whatever views, however lopsided the views could be. Because I don't know what he spoke about. I don't know. He has never contested any seat against Raila. So for him to go somewhere to talk ill about Raila. So, and if he did, then he is right to say he has to go and plead with the people that he has now visited some shrine, some shrine of knowledge and truth, and now he has been amesafishwa. Sasa ameona ukweli. Sasa si ataenda aambie hao na tuambie amesafishwa wapi. Ndio wengine wale ambao pia wamefanya dhambi kama hizo wapeleke waende watubu hizo dhambi na wasafishwe pia. Tuone kama watu wataona wale watu ambao walizungumzia yale, tuone kama watamsikiza. Because then they have also a right to ask him, how do we believe you now? That you say you told us a lie. How do we believe you now that you are not even telling us another lie? So you know, it's something that it's neither here nor there. These are just campaign gimmicks, you know. And but you know, David is my friend. He's my very close friend, and you know, I've always told him. You know, he has his right to hold whatever views about anything and everything, including views about me. You know, just like I too have similar rights, and therefore there is no we are too now. Sisi ni marafiki. I think one of the ways is there's a document that was released just this week by the U.S. government, Joe Biden's resolve to fight corruption. And if you read it, this is how just shows you how government should work. Let all the institutions who are involved in the criminal justice system come and every one of them tell Kenyans what it is that impedes them from dealing with the corruption cases. How is it that the Constitution can provide, and Kenyans passed it, that in an election, presidential election dispute can be determined within 14 days. But you are telling us a corruption case takes 10 years. Can we know? What is it? Because there's always a lot of fanfare when it is being taken. Then the next thing, 10 years later, you hear the fellow has been acquitted. So, you know, Kenyans have a right to think that something has gone wrong there. And we'd want a situation whereby everybody, if it is resources, let us all know that these institutions don't have sufficient resources. And also, the caliber of the officers, the people there, must also be examined. Because we must face it. We don't want... when things which are meant to go and do, where should we be going for medical assessment, medical tests or medical, treatment out of the country? It means there's something wrong. Our doctors are qualified. We need to give them the necessary facilitation to serve us better. So I mean, and we have very many highly qualified professionals here. very highly qualified. But you look,
the DPP is taking too long. Sometimes with
why does it take so long to make a decision? Because you know what? If, remember, the president gave 21 days. Investigations were done. I am sure there is a report. Where is that report? If it did not find anybody culpable, make it public so that people will know there was no scandal. Yeah? If on the other hand, it implicated people, again, make it public. But you cannot, as either the EACC or the DPP, just keep quiet. This is wrong. These are some of the things I'm saying, you know, we really must, we must address. People cannot be, for me, it cannot be business as usual. And because I understand some of these things, even in the ministries, there's a lot of rot. And that's why I've been saying it is, you know, if we actually pay sufficient attention to the number of young people who have left institutions of higher learning and I don't have jobs. These are the people I'm saying. These are the people we need to address. They have such ideas, even addressing this runaway corruption. These are the people. These should be my champions because I know they are not tainted. You know, these are the people to put in places. Some of these places, I have a raft of proposals which should help us. Because let me tell you, we cannot be told that we lose through procurement over 300 billion, then through expenditure, through budgeting, another 300. So we are losing close to 700 billion year in, year out. And you can imagine those colossal sums, what they could do to this country. You know? When we begin conceptualizing projects, people begin putting in their interests. Be they dams, be they road projects, they are all overpriced because people have put their interest there. You know, you can see even when we came up with a body like the SRC, it still is not helping because it doesn't matter. Now it has become like it's a routine. When people are employed into offices, the thing they look for is weaknesses of exploiting the system.
yes.
If you see weakness, shouldn't it be your duty and obligation to correct it? Is it you want to circumvent it? You want to circumvent the law? When you find there's a weakness, you want to exploit it for personal gain. But you see, surely, why do you want to live beyond your means? You know, these are the questions. These are the hard questions that I think within the first 100 days, people must answer. And we can't, you know, this is the only country we have. We don't have any other. And therefore, for me, when you know they say, when the whole world suffers, the individual does not suffer. Yeah? So again, conversely, when the whole country benefits, the individual benefits.
Yes.
And I should be happy that you want to walk, you want medical treatment, you just walk across there. I also want to be attended to. I walk the same place. I mean, you've seen what we have been able to do because of the COVID crisis. It tells you there's a lot more of innovation that is still locally based.